All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Dopecast with me, Dopefish, and with me today, as usual, I suppose, I have
Sir Andersen the
Andersen.
Great.
Yes, and with us we have a guest. Why don't you say hello?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
It's your favorite Rumia.
So, Rumia, you're from the Dopelives community, of course, which is where we handpicked you from, and we have a bunch of questions lined up for you just to get the listeners acquainted with you in case they're not already. Let's start out simple. How old are you?
25, which, that's like the point where I start feeling old.
Is it?
Yeah,
Ouch,
man.
Ouch.
It's like night and day. Went to bed
You
feeling
say that,
young.
and Andersen, he's like 46.
Give or take.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where are you from? I mean, it's pretty obvious to hear, but just for the record, where you're from?
Well, Scotland. I mean, I guess some listeners might think Ireland,
Ugh.
because... But yeah, right now I'm living in the northeast of Scotland, so... Weird country.
How's it like in Scotland? Is there a lot of bagpipes?
Not nearly enough. There used to be some American guy that would just play the bagpipes in the street here, like every
An
day.
American guy?
Yeah, he was really cool.
What, like for money?
He never had like a hat or anything to put money in. I think he just did it for
That's kind of awesome, actually.
just for the joy of
for the
bagpipes.
bagpipes. Love of bagpipes.
Yeah, it's
My
fair enough.
my favorite webcomic had a single panel comic on bagpipes.
On web pipes.
Yeah, which is like two Scots talking like, "Oh, McConaughey's dead. What should we do to commemorate his passing? I know. Let's strap 10 cats together and squeeze them." And the other guy's like, "The only problem with that is that it's inefficient."
Fair enough. All right, so Rumia, why are you called Rumia on the internet? What's that from?
Oh god, this is embarrassing.
Yeah, it is.
Fuck. Well, it could be worse.
Could it? I don't know. Well, it could be called like Naruto XX13 or something, but
No,
That
because
one was
then he would have
taken.
been banned from chat because those usernames don't survive.
The truth is, I used to have like a different username every time I came to Dopelives, so you wouldn't have known who I was for about a month.
why?
I don't know. Like when I when I first came onto the IRC, I had this thing about being anonymous on the internet. So I would just come in with a different name. But then I you know how new people are treated. So I'm like,
Yeah,
well, shit, I
fair
can't
enough.
deal with this. I'll just
You
stick
can't
with...
make any friends if nobody knows who you are as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought I'll just stick with the one I'm currently using, which happened to be the first boss from fucking Embodiment of Scarlet Devil.
You fucking weeb.
I know, right? And then everyone in the chat thought I was a girl for like 2 years.
Yes.
All right,
A lot of people still do.
embodiment of Scarlet Devil. I'm not into weeb games, so just
It's Tohu.
oh, it's a Tohu game. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
even I know what is Tohu.
Yeah.
Tuhu, I like to call it.
Tohu.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been here? Like, when did you come and spend the first month anonymous and then settle on Rumia?
Fuck, I'm trying to think. It was when you did Silent Hill 2 and then Amnesia. It was around about then.
I don't know where.
Well, I think we're talking like 2011 or 2012.
Yeah, something like that probably. Several years at least.
Way too long.
Yeah.
How did you end up here?
Man, here's the other cringe-worthy story.
Oh dear.
Fucking somebody linked the Sims video on 420chan's video game board. I'm like, oh. Yeah, you can't make it up, can you?
The
fucking 420 channel, please.
is that the Dope House Sims video?
Yeah, it was that, which I thought
Oh.
I quite enjoyed it. So
Like with the neckbird and all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty epic.
Epic for the win. Oh dear. Oh dear. So Rumia, how much of a fat nerd are you really?
God, I wish I was. Then I could like own it, you know. But no, I'm fucking tall and skinny. Like
Terrible.
Terrible.
But you eat like jelly beans all day long.
Yeah, man.
How are you?
I've been
How are you
trying.
skinny?
I've been trying to put on weight for 2 years and I can't do it. Fucking winter comes and just reaps the pounds right off me.
Why? It's not the olden days. You don't have to fast during winter. It's not like you can't have access to fucking grain.
No, it's opposite. It's opposite for me. I balloon up during winter and slim down during the warm months.
Yeah, because
when I
in
actually
winter
go
you can't
outside.
go outside.
Yeah.
All you can do is sit in. Yeah.
But it's still
Welcome
fucking
to
cold,
opposite
though.
day with Rumia.
Like, the cold just takes the calories right out of you.
Scotland doesn't have like a well-engineered infrastructure, so they still actually have like a food shortage in winter. You can't get hold of like butter.
They actually dig mounds behind their house in which they bury their food.
Yeah.
So Rumia, it's pretty obvious that maybe you play video games, but you certainly watch video games because you're around Dopelives. What do you do else? What other interests do you have?
Right now I'm trying to get back into my old electronics hobby. Like, I've ordered some kits off eBay, which I'm gonna
Like
build.
actually making electronics?
Yeah, like soldering things together, wiring things up. Cool shit.
What, making like what do they call those little fucking computers thingies, controllers?
Circuit boards?
I know what you mean. Raspberry Pi and all that stuff.
Yeah, like Raspberry Pi type stuff.
No,
Is that
I
what you
mean,
mean, or?
I'm not smart enough to be a programmer. It's fucking flashing LEDs and little beepy things.
I had electronics in school for 6 months, and in a grand total of 6 months, I managed to create one strobe light.
That's pretty cool.
Christ.
Like, if
It
the
was-
whole class was doing it, you could make a rave at the end, right?
Yeah, I think the whole class did a strobe light in about the first month, and then moved on to other projects. And I was just really slow. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. One guy was really cool. He built like a set of speakers, but then for the treble and the middle tone and the bass, instead of having sound output, he had different colored lights. So he kind of used a speaker setup to build a light show.
So there's like a
Ah.
visualizer.
Yeah, like a visualizer. It was really cool.
Man, our electronics class, we played with Technic Lego or whatever it's called. You know, like the
Oh,
Lego with
Jesus.
motors and shit.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I used to love that shit.
And also, I guess they used, what are they called, like breadboards or something like that.
Yeah, we just
A
poke the
little
wires
bit,
in.
but mostly it was just like Technic Lego. That's good fun though.
Any
So Rumia,
any
I
other
assume
hobbies?
that you actually... Sorry, go ahead.
just any other hobbies before we move on?
Ah, yeah, fair enough.
Other hobbies? No, I mean, Christ. Between...
D&D, man, come on. That's a hobby.
Is that a hobby?
Sure, that's a hobby.
Some would call it a hobby, some would call it an obsession.
I thought it was like some kind of purgatory for my past sins.
It's a lifestyle.
It's like, it's funny. The biggest shame you have is not the fact that you're named Rumia after Tohu, that you came from 420chan, that you play D&D.
There's one thing I can't admit to in real life.
Yeah, that's the one thing you'd keep from your family.
Man, they still rip into me after I told them. They
Dope,
still make fun of me.
Dope, you have to be fair. You have to be fair. He's from Scotland. I imagine Scotland is the kind of backward place where even today, if you admit you play D&D, either they will have an intervention or you'll just get beat up.
Just get shipped. Oh, Christ. So anyway, what I was getting at, what games are you playing right now?
Right now, I'm playing Crypt of the Necrodancer and Cities Skylines, which are pretty
What
different.
do you think of those?
Man, Crypt of the Necrodancer is far too hard. I can't get past Zone 2.
Yeah.
It's fucking brutal.
Difficult as shit. My brain can't deal with that game.
Yeah.
I haven't managed to get into it yet because I didn't want to pay for it because I don't know. Sell me on it. To me, it seems like it's just an average roguelike, except instead of pressing as you want, you go click, 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 click. You have to stay with.
What you just described is the game. That is absolutely correct, but it somehow transcends that. The fact that you have to dance to the music and the sort of rhythm element to it. I don't know, it is a roguelike. It's kind of generic. You go through a dungeon, you collect loot, you kill enemies, and the only restriction is that you have to do like click, click, click instead of moving however you wish. That is correct, but all of those elements put together, it really just transcends it. It becomes incredibly tense. It's like fast paced, it's really fun. There's these really unexpected situations that develop. I don't know, it is just very enjoyable.
Can
And
I
the
take
music
my
is banging.
Can I take my shitty plebe metal and put in and play
Yes.
You can, but unless it's something with a good solid beat in it, it's gonna be a bit difficult, I think. Because metal doesn't even like have a proper beats per minute you can put in, can you? Not well, I guess it does sometimes, but yeah.
One of the bosses is death metal, which is pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, but it's still sort of electronic music. What about Cities XL? Wait, is that the bad one? Oh no, that is the
Skylines, it's the new one.
Skylines. Yeah, right. It's not the so that's like SimCity.
Yeah, that kind of genre always made me feel really stupid. I can never get it done, but this one, it really works. Like I can get into it.
So it's a casual.
Yeah. It satisfies two major fantasies for me: controlling every aspect of every individual's lives and being popular on Twitter.
I've always dreamed of being omnipotent.
Honestly, who doesn't?
That's true enough. What was the other thing you said that it
Being
satisfies?
popular on Twitter.
Yeah, fair enough. You do get like tweet updates or something in that game, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That was a really nice touch. I mean, it's something just silly and daft, but I really like it.
Yeah.
The only thing I know about that game is that it's a city sim, and there was something on Imgur about someone building this massive dam.
Oh.
I did see pictures
Was
of
there a
massive
point to
dam
that
once.
story, or were you done?
No, that's all I know of it.
We'll have to
It's
invest-
like SimCity, and once I saw a picture of a dam.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I know about City Skylines.
Well,
We'll have to get on this and
great story, Andersen.
report
Thanks
back
for your contribution.
Well, I mean, at least it conveys that you can apparently build a big ass dam in the game. I don't think you
Yeah.
can do that in SimCity. At least not the ones I've tried.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, stuff like water flow is an important factor in the game. So that'd be pretty cool.
See, I'm fucking relevant.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, these might be fun games, but this is a hypothetical situation for you, Rumia. You're trapped in a small white room, and you can only bring one game to play for the rest of your life. Which game would you choose?
That's a really hard question. If it was a small black room, I would choose Dwarf Fortress. But since it's a white room, it doesn't quite have...
You gotta have that Dwarf Fortress immersion by being inside a cave.
pretty much. But yeah,
Wait, is Rumia racist against rooms?
He's a roomsist? Wait, hang on. Rumia is a roomsist?
Oh my god, he's been
Oh.
pushing an agenda all along.
Yeah.
well, man, I knew this question was coming, but I can't actually give a good answer. I mean, I would say Dwarf Fortress because it's going to be updated for the next 20 years. And, like, based on that alone, like, I can't think of any other games that'll last 20 years.
We actually had Dwarf Fortress on the topic last time.
Did we?
Yeah, we talked about how the future in games was
Oh,
niches
about
with
indie
fan
games
bases,
and all
yeah.
that stuff, yeah. Dwarf Fortress is supported by donations, I think. Like, it's a free game, but the developer takes donations instead of any kind of microtransactions or anything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
he's living off
interesting.
them, which is amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm not surprised because it's monstrously popular. It
Yeah.
really has that very high entry gate where you have to get at a certain level to even start up the game and do anything with it. But once you get past that, it seems everyone who's gotten past it just love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good fun. Every time somebody mentions it, I feel like getting back into it again.
Yeah,
Just fun.
I never got into it. It's not casual enough for me. And then I just saw like, oh, but you can get it where there are actual graphics. And then I tried it, and nope, still not casual enough for me.
Yeah. The game is really poorly developed in the user-friendliness sense.
I get, but
It's,
that's probably a part of the selling point as well, because yes, it's hard to get into, but that's because it has this head-crushing depth, and that's kind of what sells it as well.
Yeah, the depth is one thing, but there's this aspect of it where you're not allowed to play it without memorizing keyboard shortcuts and stuff. Like, it doesn't have tooltips. You can barely use the mouse. There aren't graphics.
Why do I not
etc.,
love this
etc..
game? This is exactly like the shitty DOS games I grew up playing. This is old school right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. The depth is fine, but it could be far more user-friendly in the way it's designed.
Maybe someone should mod it.
Yeah, maybe someone should, or try to make a spin-off game.
So-
Oh wait, there's been like 14 of those on Steam, and they all failed terribly.
So that's
Yeah.
is that your favorite game all time, Rumia, or just the game you choose for replayability?
I'm only choosing it because I'd be stuck in the room for the rest of my life. Like, my favourite games are all kind of short in comparison.
Why is that?
What are they?
Oh, fuck. Shit, man. I think my favourite game is probably either Shadow of the Colossus or Planescape or something like that.
Back
All
to
right,
the
fair
D&D
enough.
nerd.
So it isn't Orchestra of the Red Butterfly or whatever the fuck that Toho game is called then.
No, man. Oh, I still haven't gotten good at Toho. I never did.
That's kind of weird. Like you're named after it, and you don't really. Oh well. So, Rumia, the most important question and the final question: who is your waifu?
I always thought my power level wasn't quite high enough to have a waifu, but say in the
But
past.
it is.
Well, I appear to have leveled up in the past year or so.
Well, tell me about it.
Fucking Witch Beatrice from Umineko. I would deny her existence all day and night.
Well, that's a good one. Sure. For everybody's information, Ska has been streaming through those games on Dopelives, and
For the
I
past
suppose
2
that's
years.
where you got introduced to her. Or have you played the?
No, it was all new to me when you
yourself?
started it.
All right,
It's been a journey, I can tell you.
I got introduced to a lot of things through Ska. Mainly kind of borderline gay, gakimuki, weird ass
Borderline
videos.
gay.
Borderline gay.
More like full gay.
Take it, boy.
There's no dick touching dick, so it's not proper gay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Wait, that would mean she-males are gay. No. We'll bring that up later.
Hey, speaking of, no, yeah, that's for later. Let's stick to the plan, guys. Stick to the plan.
Well,
Oh shit!
the-
Many whelps.
The plan is feedback,
Feedback. Oh yes.
because there were some reactions to the first podcast.
Which is pretty great. There was a lot of positive comments overall.
Yeah,
A lot of people basically said, this was interesting to listen to, please record more.
and we're doing
And
that.
Here we are.
Yes.
Although, I have a request for all the listeners out there. Please, talk to us more about interesting things. It's very nice to hear all your positive feedback, but it isn't really anything we can talk about on the show. It would be interesting to hear people's arguments or disagreements with us, that kind of stuff.
But
So,
but keep the positive comments coming as well, because it gives me a nice fuzzy feeling inside.
That's called an erection, and it's not really on the inside.
Well, it is if you play your cards right.
You've clearly never heard of the tuck and tape.
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be your erection.
Okay, all right.
I think I should. The next comment we set aside to respond to, I think I should be the one to read that.
Go ahead.
I don't give a shit, you pleb, is the name of the person who left the comment. Confirmed that Sir Andersen is a cuck who watches cuck/interracial pornography. And
Yeah, it's definitely confirmed.
yes, definitely. I watch just about any kind of pornography I can get my hands on. This is... I can't really tell 100% if this is someone trying to be funny or trying to be mean. And I'm kind of a beginner on YouTube, so I actually want to use this to field a question towards Dope. Because I'm sure you, as anyone who puts out regular stuff on YouTube, you get a lot of mean comments. How do you deal with that?
How do I deal with that?
Yes.
I don't take it personally, because it's people on YouTube. It's YouTube comments. It's so easy to ignore. I mean, thick skin and all that, sure, but also just like that famous tweet, just, how the fuck is online bullying real, nigga? Just look away from the screen. It's, yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. It's just words from somebody on a page that I can choose not to read if I don't want to, so.
But there are some of the comments where if it had been someone you knew who said it to you in person, that would have been hurtful?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a clear distinction between just randos on the internet and, like, friends telling you in private or in real life or whatever. Like, I don't care if somebody calls me an idiot or whatever in a YouTube comment, but if somebody shouts it at me on TeamSpeak when we're playing a game, that might actually be upsetting, I guess.
I can
agree.
relate to
I
that
mean,
one.
How,
I mean,
how about you,
normally-
Rumia? Do you get called an idiot a lot on the internet?
This isn't remotely fair.
I don't even know if Andersen knows what he just like served up there, because Rumia.
I'm gonna
I
give.
played D&D with Rumia, and let's just say that he gets called an idiot quite often.
God, that and Counter-Strike is like a constant verbal assault onslaught.
Well, is it actually upsetting?
No. I mean, I've been called worse in real life, so it's
Have
like,
you? Have you?
yeah, my first job, I worked with like these really gritty construction workers, you know, that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't like that I had no idea how to be a construction worker, which was fair because I didn't.
Yeah. How'd you get the job done?
Family, basically.
Nepotism,
Oh.
ho!
Alright, so they got angry at you or what?
Yeah. I mean, it's your first job. You don't have much of a work ethic. It's something you have to develop, I guess. So I wasn't particularly good, or I guess I didn't have the right attitude, I suppose. I mean, it's not like I dislike any of them, really. They were all decent folk once you get to know them. But holy shit. Some of the names
They were
I've been
also
called.
construction workers, which I can only assume from the stereotypes in film and such is a very coarse industry. Like, if anybody knows how to curse, it's sailors and construction workers.
And farmers. Holy shit, farmers.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, at first you think they're speaking another language, but no, they're swearing at you.
I can just imagine a Scottish farmer swearing. I wouldn't be able to understand anything.
Actually, Dope, that's called Gaelic.
Yeah, fair enough.
Get Richie B in Dopecast 3. He'll tell you.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
Actually, that might be a good thing. We were talking about how people should come up with interesting stuff in comments. Maybe people could suggest who they'd like to have on the cast.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I thought you were going to say maybe people could try to insult us in Scottish. But, yeah, your idea is also good.
I mean, I could do the insulting right now if you want.
Do it.
Oh, fuck.
Come on, you wee man.
Oh, I'm not even sure what I'd say.
Come on.
I mean, I don't actually insult people in real life ever, because I have to be nice. Unless they drive in front of me or something that's like, oh my god, you fucking...
I
bitch.
just cut you
somebody
off on the
cuts
road.
you off and then slams on the brakes. What do you shout?
Swear to fuck, I'm gonna rip your arse from mouth to breakfast.
What?
I got that one backwards. See, this is why I don't do it in real
Your
life, because I
ass
fucking choke.
from mouth to breakfast?
This
You just-
doesn't make any sense.
It's not supposed to. You just... Like, the less sense it makes, the more threatening it is. Because, like, oh shit, I don't even know where that is.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
It's the kind of insult that leaves the person wondering, like, for days after. Just like, wait, what did he mean?
Also,
Breakfast?
if
What does that mean?
if someone jumps out and shouts that at you, you have to feel a little threatened because you have to question their mental stability.
Yeah, it's true enough.
You know how, like, Lovecraftian horror is scary because you don't know what he's talking about?
Scottish insults share a common theme with Lovecraftian horror. Got it.
There you know.
Yeah, that's true. The unknown is usually more scary than the known, I suppose.
Alright, next comment?
Yeah, go on.
Well, it's directed at you. I think you should take it.
But I don't want to take it.
Alright, I'll take it.
Take it, boy.
Stubborn Deer commented, only person on the internet I've heard tell the truth about the whole whoring thing. And that has to be you regarding the last Dopecast.
Yeah, I suppose so. And also, clearly we are the only honest people on the internet.
Obviously.
And you should keep listening to us religiously, follow our every word, and also give us all your money.
I have no objections to that. Perfect.
Great. All right. So should I take this next one?
Oh yes,
Because
please do. Please do.
It's a real mess. Okay, Aliki 1992 writes, okay, I need to type this fast so you can see it, but I don't mean to tell you what to do. I don't know your personal life, but the last time I watched your channel religiously was 2011. I understand if you're busy because I'm 23 and I'm busy. But the reason I loved your channel so much was because you, Dopefish, played a lot of games more often. Stuff Life, Saints Row 3, and the Ball RTS, can't think of it. I wouldn't have purchased if you didn't play it on your channel. Well, I don't want to tell you what to do in an artistic POV, but those are just my thoughts. Thanks for reading if you did.
And you did.
I did read it.
Yeah.
This is
Didn't understand it, but
very, very baffling response. I think the core of it was something like, why don't you play more games or something? Like, I don't actually really know what it was about. But the person seems a bit confused.
I think we all are now.
Yes, good. But yeah, I don't play less games than I used to. Maybe I don't upload as much to YouTube, however. If you want to follow us religiously, you should come to our website, www.dopelives, spelled the same as the YouTube channel, .com.
Where you'll be cursed out for being a fucking noob that doesn't know the intricacies of the chat.
Of course. There's a rules page. It'll be linked as soon as you enter the chat. But yeah, there you'll find daily live streams. And there's also the Twitter bot you can follow if you don't want to hang around on the website all day. I don't know, is it Dopefish _announcements? I don't know. It'll be in the description of this. You can follow that on Twitter and you'll get notified when there's a stream. And then you can just come to the website and look at us there.
You should probably mention it's not just you who streams on the website.
Yeah, of course. Sorry. I thought that was understood, but perhaps it isn't. We have a roster of streamers. Sir Andersen is one of them.
But they're good ones too, I promise. No, I just bring it up because it's actually not super rare for someone to pop into chat and be like, and think that whoever's streaming is Dopefish, because obviously it's the Dopefish page, so it must be Dopefish streaming.
Yeah, fair enough. That's true and worth pointing out.
And then the chat always tries to convince them that you're dead and you have been for years.
Yeah.
Which is always kind of mean.
Don't believe the hype. The rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
No, you were dead, but you got better.
Yes, I got better.
Do you get a lot of comments like this? A lot of comments that are kind of barely legible?
It's YouTube comments. I think everybody does.
Do you get crazy shit in like your personal inbox?
Used to a lot more than I do now. YouTube changed all of their policies and you can't like share videos and stuff anymore the same way. But yeah, there's a lot of these really like looks like 13-year-olds who have English as a second language trying to tell you something, but it just is nonsense. Anyway, Andersen, this next one is for you, but I think I'll read it to you because it feels like it's kind of challenging what you said on the last podcast.
Please do.
Okay, so Chris Cook writes in the YouTube comments, the discussion on the moon landing pissed me off. We already have the International Space Station. Landing on the moon and coming back isn't that far gone for the imagination if we already have something that big and sustainable in orbit around the Earth. There was already a speech prepared for the astronauts in the event of their deaths in space. It was never read or presented, obviously, but it was prepared for Kennedy as a preparatory measure. The moon landing could have been faked, sure, but it wasn't, because we had what we needed and accomplished what we did with the technology of the era. There is some more, but I think we'll leave it there. What is your response to this?
My first thought is I hope he's exaggerating. Because we were just talking about it in a casual manner, and if that actually pissed him off, I kind of feel sorry. Because he probably shouldn't take it that seriously. Also, he's kind of getting it backwards. We already have the ISS, so therefore landing on the moon should be easy. I mean, the ISS came up like 7,000 years after.
There's a difference between 2000 and the 60s.
I mean, I'm not in any way disputing that we could land on the moon now or maybe in the 90s. What I'm saying is I'm not convinced one way or the other whether we could do it with the shitty-ass radio stuff we had back in the late 60s.
Fair enough.
I
think it's fair to be pissed off, though. I mean, come on. Somebody on the internet is wrong. What could possibly be worse than that?
Yeah, shrug it off.
Shrug it off. Rumia, do you believe the moon landing happened?
Yeah.
Like it was shown to us?
Pretty much. I mean, it probably didn't happen in black and white like it says on the film. But other than that...
What do you mean it didn't happen in black and white?
Everything was in
color in space.
Everything was in black and white back then. Haven't you seen old movies?
Color was invented in like the 70s, man. Like people started taking LSD and started seeing all these weird swirly patterns and like, oh shit, what is that? We gotta put that on things. And then color was invented.
Well, that should be a conspiracy theory. Like, that's a good one.
I'm sure it is a conspiracy theory in some circles.
Our ancestors were all colorblind until we took drugs.
Welcome to the first installment of Dope Conspiracies.
Yeah.
Actually, that works because it is a dope conspiracy.
Hey! Double entendre kind of stuff. Alright, to wrap up feedback, I'd just like to thank Michael Fain for his email, which was very nice. If you wish to leave feedback, you can do so on my Twitter, which is dopefish_lives, my email address, which is dopelives@gmail.com, or you can get Andersen at his Twitter, which is...
At Sir Andersen 1.
There you go. Alright, let's move on to the other topics.
Yeah, we have a few topics lined up. Some we're quite keen on. Some that, according to the comments, people are quite keen on listening to us talk about.
Yeah, hopefully we'll do them justice. Are we doing the recommendations?
Well, I mean, we kind of already touched upon it. You know, in the comments, leave recommendations for interesting topics, stuff you'd like to hear our say on, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but that's not what this recommendations thing is.
Isn't it?
This is about us recommending
the thing that I
to the listeners.
Yeah, I completely
That was
forgot.
you who suggested
it
that.
was, yeah. Yeah, I'm special.
You are. Well, I guess we're doing it. I would like this week to recommend something to you guys. The game called Monstrum. It is a very spooky horror game available on Steam. It plays a bit like those like Slender type games where you run around and collect objects, mixed with basically the hiding mechanics of Alien Isolation. It is very fun, and if you let it be, it is very scary. I would recommend it.
I saw you stream it, and I have to say I got kind of disheartened just now when you said it plays like those Slender games. I kind of want to jump in and say, yeah, if they were good.
Well, yeah,
Cause
that's kind of...
Because it's really good, and I mean, the only Slender game I've seen was the first game.
Yeah, but I mean, it is still like you're hunting objects. You're not in a forest and there's no Slenderman hunting you. You're on this derelict ship that is abandoned, and there's some backstory where somehow you were digging up monster eggs or something and everything went bad. But you still like go into the rooms and try to find the next piece of the puzzle kind of thing.
I actually think that's what I would play it for. Not so much to try and see if I could escape the boat, but to see if I could dig up the whole story.
I'm not sure if there is that much of a story. I've like played it a couple of times and the notes are very difficult to find, but it seems to be more insinuation than anything concrete. There's also...
As horror should be.
True enough. It's also quite interesting because every time you play it, it randomly generates a lot of the elements, even down to which monster is on the ship. There's 3 different ones right now, and every time you start, you're not sure which one it is until it starts fucking chasing after you and starts eating your face off. So it's pretty good at keeping the tension up, and it also like randomly generates where you can hide and where the items are and stuff like that.
I mean, I got scared just watching the stream, so it's pretty...
Yeah, oh god, the tension is so high. I love it.
It's beautiful. I have something to recommend, actually, but it's not a game.
Mm-hmm.
I came across some new music the other day that I've never listened to before. You know, sometimes something, you listen to a song, you listen to another song, something you've never seen comes up in recommendations, and you're like, oh, what the hell, what is this? And I came across an artist that probably a lot of people are already familiar with, calling himself Buckethead.
Never heard of.
The guy with the creepy mask?
It's a guy with a guitar and a plain white mask over his face and one of those fried chicken buckets on his head. And he just plays some really, really cool instrumental guitar.
How do you see the mask if he's got a bucket on his head?
No, he has it on like a hat, not like a helmet.
Like
a
Fez kind of hat.
That's just weird.
It's a strange gimmick. I don't know where he got it from. But yeah.
All right. Well, I'll definitely be sure to check it out after this recording. Buckethead on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, here's a picture of him.
No, I can't see anything. This is audio only.
Well, yeah, just for you.
Yeah, but no, the description is fine enough. I don't need to see a picture.
Fair enough.
Let's not put our viewers at a disadvantage here. If you can't describe it well enough for them, then you can't describe it well enough for me.
He also has long curly hair.
Oh.
Doesn't everyone in metal?
That's true enough. Rumia, do you have anything you would like to recommend to our listeners today?
Sure. This game's been out for a while, but I think people still need to play it because I think it's like, it's what I'm going to be talking about for some time. The Talos Principle, which I guess you guys will probably have heard it because I think a couple of folk have streamed it by now.
Yeah, it's kind of like Portal-ish. Like it's a first-person puzzly game.
First-person puzzle, story's kind of implicit to start with. You got to figure out what's going on.
Is it something to do with AI?
It has something to do with AI.
Alright. Well, no spoilerinos, I guess.
No spoilerinos, but
I've not played it, but so is the story good then? Is it like funny, interesting? How does it present?
There's some funny moments, there's some interesting parts, but I think what really hooks me is that between puzzles, you can have these little interactions with another character, and it's like the only game I've played where you have to sort of, you're tested on your ability to do philosophy, I guess. Like it asks you philosophical questions and it remembers your answers. So when it asks you something similar much later on, it'll pull you up if you contradict an earlier answer. Like, you fucker, you're not logical.
Okay. Wait, so what kind of questions? Or like how do you answer? Is it like a...
It's multiple choice, so it's
multiple
not...
selection? Yeah, okay.
It's not like super advanced, obviously, but it does its job.
So is it like ethical quandaries, like paradoxes? What kind of philosophical questions are we talking about here?
It's stuff like that. It starts off with like you're trying to access a machine, and it's like, you know those like captcha tests where it's like prove you're human?
Yeah.
It puts you through a prove you're human test, and it's like, well, how do I know you're human? And you've got to try and convince it, and it just kind of snowballs from there.
That's like a Turing test.
It is like a Turing test.
That's cool. So you're on the receiving end of a kind of a Turing test.
Sort of, something like that.
That sounds really interesting. I have not actually played the Talos Principle. I've seen it streamed a little bit. It looked pretty interesting, but it also kind of looked like a bad version of Portal. In a way, because Portal is so AAA. I don't know.
There's also like a lot of...
It's kind of indie, I guess, in many ways.
I would say it's not quite as funny as Portal. I think the puzzles are... they're more difficult, I think. But, yeah.
So you don't have the portal gun. How do you solve puzzles in Talos Principle?
You just lift up... you've got two basic tools at your disposal that are dotted around the levels. You've got little laser pingers, I guess. They function as mirrors, basically. They ping lasers around.
Ah, okay.
And you also have these, like, they look like cameras on tripods, but they just deactivate any machine you point them at. You have to use them in conjunction with each other. It starts off easy and gets stupid, and then to get the secrets, you have to, like, think outside of the box. Like, you have to break puzzles.
So you gotta, like, exploit stuff, I guess, and maybe instead of using the camera to disable something, you use it as a platform, stuff like that?
Exactly, that kind of thing. Or, like, you gotta take objects out of bounds when the game's designed to stop you doing that. But the game also...
that's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like the kind of game I'd have to watch a Let's Play of, because that's... I don't think I have the brain for that.
I'll be honest, some of the secrets, there's no way in hell I would have ever found them.
So TLDR, it's Chips Challenge, but in 3D.
Pretty much, yeah.
Alright. Well, that's the recommendations of the week, I suppose. I think we should move on to our next topic.
Biggest, probably.
Maybe so, yes. Rumia.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on feminism?
More importantly, are you a feminist?
I'm all about feminism. Feminism? Not even...
Feminism? No, we're talking about feminism here.
Yeah. Sisters are doing it for themselves and all that. That's all.
Yeah, so, Rumia, do you identify as a feminist?
Not really, because it's liable to get me shot, but...
So you are a misogynist rapist?
Yeah, but I'm really guilty about it, so it all evens out.
Hang on a second. Let's go down the checklist here. You're male, which is, I believe, you are also biologically male.
That's, yeah.
Do you identify as male?
I think so. I mean...
Do you dress male?
I I suppose I don't wear males.
Do you act male?
I like to think
Anyway,
so.
moving on. What is the color of your skin?
Well, let's see. Which part?
I guess a greyish pasty, since he's Scottish.
Pretty much translucent, with like orange flecks on my face.
All right, but it is not brown, yellow, black, or any other darker color.
No,
Okay, are you in fact a homosexual?
I wish, man. God,
So you're not into the dick?
no. Unfortunately.
You fucking privileged scumbag.
Yeah,
You're
get
a
me.
straight cis white male. That is literally the worst thing in the world.
Guilty.
You are everything wrong with the world.
I wonder when we hit the turnaround when everybody hates straight cis white males so much that they actually start to be considered a disadvantaged minority.
Man, on
because
the
of all
internet,
the
that's
hatred.
already happened.
Anyway, so you're not a feminist, but what are your thoughts on feminism?
I guess,
Has it ever been useful?
like, I'm generally supportive of the whole thing. It's just the word itself. It's kind of redundant because I don't know what it means, and nor does anyone else by the sense of it. So I try to avoid that word because it makes people think
So,
things.
so what is it you say that you're in favor of then?
I should say just egalitarianism or something. Like,
Yeah, but
Equal
okay,
rights.
Yeah, fair enough. You believe that women should have the same rights as everybody else in society?
yeah, I mean, for most of the places I worked, or studied, etc., it's all been guys. Been a real sausage
But
fest.
you're in a STEM field though, so is that really that strange?
No, I mean it's
I mean,
usual.
you're studying electrical engineering or something, right?
I was. Now I work in
Yeah.
a similar field.
Yeah.
But
So it's not too strange that you're surrounded by mostly men.
it's not
Do you
strange.
think that's an issue? Do you think that more women should be in that field? Like, is it a problem that you never had a female professor?
Pretty much. There's no MILFs to teach you stuff. What a fucking chip that was.
Way to objectify, man. Way to objectify.
Leave it to Rumia to find that fucking side of things. You fucking genius. I need feminism because there are no MILFs. Man, I can see like the picture now, those people holding up that sign.
Yeah.
Oh Christ.
Actually, Rumia, why don't you make that picture?
Yeah, you
Oh.
definitely should. Oh wow.
We'll have that.
No, but but do you think it is a harm for society that there are less or there are so few women in STEM fields?
Yeah, I mean, the few women I have met did as good as the rest of the class,
Mhm.
and the women in those that do become electrical engineers, they do just as well. So I
Yeah.
think like if you're cutting out half the population, you're not really serving anyone's interests, really.
Why aren't there? I mean, you're in the STEM fields. You should know. Why aren't there more women in the STEM fields? Is it like a no girls allowed boys club? Like if they show up, do you pull their pigtails?
Nobody I've met has been like overtly, what's the word, misogynistic in that way.
Sexist? Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be that anyone dislikes the idea, but I think it's like a tradition that's just sort of carried over.
Could
from
it
the old
be
days.
that women in general or women in our culture are less interested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is, by the way, STEM for people who don't know that we've been talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
Could it be that women just, when they grow up, they play with different toys, they play with dolls instead of blocks, and then when they go into high school, they tend to do better at English than mathematics, and then when they apply for university, it's just simpler to sort of stick with that, what their interests have been ever since they grew up?
I don't know
Or do you
any
think
women who
there's-
grew up playing with Lego Technic.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's just, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, you don't see many men in what's the word, nursery positions. There's not
Yeah,
many men in childcare,
that's-
and it's because they're not really encouraged to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And people think
But
of it
it-
as being kind of weird.
So is that equally a problem? That we should also have more men in childcare and nursing and that kind of stuff? Because we need more female architects? Do we need more male nurses?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, if someone is really passionate about taking care of children and they're, you know, they would be a good nurse or a good nursery nurse, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Then yeah, they shouldn't be put off it and become bloody construction worker instead.
It's
'Cause then
easy
they
to
wouldn't
get
be
put
happy.
off it though, because if you're male, at least it's a thing in Denmark. If you're male and if you want anything to do with children, then you first you first have to fight your way through a forest of suspicions of pedophilia.
Of course. But yeah, I think that if we put that aside and take another field, I don't know, elderly care or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how these roles for people in society have sort of been solidified, I suppose, over time. I don't really know if it is a problem, though, personally. Actually, Andersen, what are your thoughts about this in terms of feminism vis-a-vis, well, employment, education, that kind of stuff?
I think it's not the problem we make it out to be. I think it used to be a huge deal, and it's gradually becoming less and less of a deal. I mean, anything you read about higher education, women are doing way better than men. So I really think it's kind of in its death throes on this generation, because as people are getting out of colleges and out of educations and into real life, I feel like right now it's about to swing heavily to where there's actually a majority of women in many currently male-dominated fields, and then I guess it's going to swing back and kind of even out. I feel like the equal rights is already here. Now it's just up for the growing generations to make use of those equal rights to end up in the fields, and I feel like that's happening now. I feel like certain feminists have their bees in a bonnet basically because it hasn't happened already, but it is happening, is my perception.
That's fair enough. The way I see it, basically, there is already equality in that if you're male or female, you can become an engineer. If you're male or female, you can become a nurse, or you can become some sort of daycare, nursery, whatever it's called. There isn't any actual barrier to entry other than culturally. I'm not sure if it is proper or necessary, or however you want to call it, to try to encourage more diversity. Is there something that we need to do in order to make more women enter STEM fields? I'm honestly not sure, because I think there are born differences between the genders, the sexes, that play a vital role in basically shaping our interests, and they play into why more men become mathematicians and more women become hairstylists or whatever. Like the fashion industry, for example, is like 90% female, I believe.
Is it because autism's more common in men?
No joke, I honestly think that might be part of it.
Yeah, fair enough to some extent, but I mean, the stereotypes, men are more analytical, women are more emotional. And if you're in a field where you have to interact with people and you need to care about them, you need to be able to read their emotions and stuff like that, where being empathetic is important. If the stereotype that women have those qualities more, isn't it just natural that women tend to those fields more, whereas men maybe are a bit more socially isolated, a bit colder, a bit less emotional,
a bit more autistic,
a bit less empathetic? Yeah, basically autistic. Sure.
And if you need to sit down and write 80,000 lines of code, well, you kind of need to be autistic for that, don't you?
I think you're misusing that word, to be honest. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, there's a difference between being or tending towards being antisocial and actually being autistic, which is a mental disorder in some way. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and I agree. Are we done? I don't know. Do you have any more thoughts, Andersen, about the whole issue? We kind of I guess
think it's
snowed in on this
I think it's
work placement stuff.
I think it's important to distinguish when you're talking about, because feminism right now is kind of a useless term because it's this huge mishmash of agendas and thoughts and stuff. I mean, there are feminists that have basically declared a crusade on other feminists because they're not proper feminists.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to narrow in what you're talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
so far we've been talking about feminism here in the Western world, and there's already equality and it's fine. But I think we can all agree that a totally different level of feminism is needed, for example, in India, where it's socially acceptable basically to rape a woman, and if you do, it is considered her fault.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think it's very good that you mentioned that, because we're currently in what is known as third wave feminism. There was the first wave, which was basically women liberation, women voting and all that kind of stuff.
Suffrage, yeah.
Yeah, suffrage, yeah. And then there was a second wave, which had more to do with sexual liberty.
Burn your bra.
Birth control and all of that kind of stuff. And now we're into the third wave, which is separate from those two. And I think that definitely the first wave, and also not quite as definitely, but also definitely the second wave of feminism were good. Like, they changed society for the better. Now in third wave feminism, which is kind of also a useless term because there's so many different subcultures. There's people or feminists who hate men, who think that women should be the superior gender and all men should be put in cages. But that's like super extremist and it's not even worth talking about. But there's, like sex negative feminists who think that porn should be banned because it's like inherently exploitative of women.
Which is pretty much anti-second wave feminism.
Yeah, that's true enough. And there's the, I hate this term, but quote-unquote cultural Marxist, which is a ridiculous term. But basically the politically correct feminists, which think that you shouldn't be allowed to joke about rape or joke about hitting a woman or anything like that because it's insensitive, and that also ties into the whole trigger warning.
Also,
Tumblr
actually,
stuff.
you shouldn't joke about rape. I take my job seriously.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Come on, hate mail. Bring it on. I mean, come on, hate mail. That's attention. We might get some.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know what they say. 9 out of 10 people enjoy group rape.
Yeah.
But yeah, there definitely has been strides that feminism helped to facilitate and, build from the ground up, and that's societally useful. Things that are necessary. I think that, of course, women are people. They should be equal to men. And
I think there might still be, like, a few kinks to iron out. I still see feminism as having a place in modern Western society. I just find it often very hard to see that place because it gets overshadowed by what I perceive to be a gross misuse of feminism.
I'm not sure if feminism has a place in society anymore, but like Rumia said,
the ideas that feminism stood for.
Yeah, egalitarianism, human equality, humanism, that kind of stuff.
I mean, there's still the point that basically anything with women is perceived to be weak and therefore bad.
Yeah, but that also applies sort of backwards. Like, it's very, very, very bad to hit a woman because she can't defend herself, but then if you make a woman in a movie who can't defend herself, that's sexist.
Yeah.
But
either you're the weaker sex and you need special protection, or you're the equal sex and you don't need special treatment.
Exactly.
Pick one and sit down. You can't sit on 2 chairs.
You can't.
Unless you're American, then you'll probably fit.
Oh.
If you're American, you gotta buy a second airline ticket. Oh god. But yeah, I mean,
are we going to go into the whole some people using feminism as a cover to basically become professional victims that cry for a living, or are we just going to gloss that over and say it's not worth going into?
We'll gloss that over because there's no discussion to be had there. That's just a negative, in my opinion. Like,
let's hear just for good measure. Let's hear what Rumia has to say on that. It might be
Rumia. So let's make this simple. Rumia, what are your thoughts on Anita Sarkeesian?
Jeez.
Do you think she's doing something useful?
She must be if people love her that much, but
Really?
I kind of like that she got rich out of trolling V. Like, there's something really nice about that.
there is something slightly satisfying in a very sort of sadistic way that she managed to goad people into attacking her and then exploiting that, because basically the people who attacked her are the idiots.
Kind of.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But do you have you watched her video series?
Yeah, I watched some. As
Do you
far
agree
as
with the things she's saying?
I didn't feel like it was really aimed at me. Like, I think in order to get something out of it, you have to already be in that camp. Because I didn't understand what she was saying, like, or why certain things are good or bad.
You don't understand things like toxic masculinity?
No, but and they weren't really explained very well. So
Yeah, that's true enough. She's definitely preaching to the choir. But yeah, I think we should move on. We've talked about this long enough, and I don't think there's anything to be added to the discussion of Sarkeesian or professional victims, really.
Actually, just with the whole trolling V thing, I want to do a shout out to what I think is, I would say, one of the best trolls on the internet, professional trolls. But I'll actually say she's not a troll, she's a heel. She does classical heel work in the wrestling sense, and I deeply respect the dedication with which she does it and the skill with which she performs. And that is Caseytron.
I'm not sure she's in a very different thing. She doesn't do it politically, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. She's just the toxic girl streamer that people hate on, and she does it so well that people will pay her like $3 to have her read a comment about how much they hate her on stream.
Yeah, I think she's honestly quite genius.
Agreed. That's why I wanted to do the shout out, because I really respect her heel work. From one heel to another, she does good work.
We talked about whoring ourselves out and that kind of stuff last time around. Caseytron is basically the epitome of doing it right,
yes,
in my opinion.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
Alright, she's completely unapologetic. But anyway, let us move on from feminism into a less divisive subject, transgenderism. That definitely won't have any reactions from anyone, I'm sure. It's very settled. There's no debate going on.
That's not really controversial.
Rumia, have you ever worn female clothing?
Funny story. When I was a young boy, about 4 years old, I was just starting school. I lived in a little town called Huntly. It was very cold. The winters were so harsh, like the toilet would freeze solid.
Okay.
And that was an indoor toilet, not one of those outdoor toilets.
Alright.
So, to keep me warm, my mother, who cared about me very much, sent me to school with woolly red stockings under my trousers. And I was...
Not long johns, but actually stockings?
No, they had like frilly bits and like patterns, not long johns.
Alright, yeah.
And I didn't know that was weird at the time.
Yeah, no, of course, you were a kid.
Kids don't.
And it's like, well, they keep me warm and it's fucking cold, so this is good.
Yeah.
But holy shit, in looking back, I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was innocent enough, but like if... this is very sexist of me, but if like a dad had done that to a daughter in today's world, I'd kind of look at him and like, that's kind of creepy in a way. What are you doing here? What kind of thing are you trying to pull here? But yeah, I don't think there was anything nefarious about that. So is that the only time?
Let me think.
Or at least the only time you want to admit?
You know, the problem is I don't think women's clothing get made in my size. It's hard enough to find clothes as it is.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Andersen, how about you?
I actually went so far as to borrow a low-cut dress from a friend of mine, because...
What's a low-cut dress?
Like with deep cleavage.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because I figured as a joke I would on Dopelives do a stream and have cam on my cleavage to see if I could get popular. But I never went through with it because I figured, I mean, it would be a really funny joke for the first 5 minutes of the stream.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it never went further than that. But yeah, I've worn women's clothes a few times. I've often, if I find a bra my size, I'll put it on because I'm wearing a bra, that's funny. I think I would make a pretty awesome drag queen, but I refuse to get rid of the beard, and the whole Conchita Wurst thing just doesn't work for me. I'm also good at walking in heels. My girlfriend hates me because she doesn't walk well in stilettos, and I just saunter elegantly along.
Well, that's quite impressive.
Do you have the same shoe size?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have
Wow.
small shoes.
Do you have small feet or does she have big feet?
I'm a size 40 and so is she. So you be the judge.
What's that?
I think
in-
she has big feet then. Maybe. I don't know. Actually, I have 43 or something, so maybe you have smaller feet.
I
don't
have
know.
50, so fuck
Whatever.
me.
Yeah, but you're using a UK system,
No,
which
no.
is very different.
It's 50 in Europe.
Wait, really?
50?
Yeah.
You have huge feet then.
In
Do
the
those
UK,
even
that'd be a 40.
exist?
So, do you have like a massive schlong as well?
Pretty much. It's
What's the
proportional.
old myth, you know?
It's not a myth, I can assure you.
Actually, it is. There's been found no correlation between penis
Yeah.
size and foot size. There has been found correlation between penis size and height. And I say that as a 172 centimeter guy with some begrudgment.
All right. Anyway, so getting back to the topic at hand after we have had that discussion. First of all, I didn't mean to imply that cross-dressing is at all the same as transgenderism.
Stop being so politically
Because-
correct.
Well, I think it is a
Let
worthwhile
people get
distinction.
mad. Fuck them.
They're already
let people
typing it in
get
the
mad.
comments, so...
But I also don't want to misrepresent my own opinions. But
Fair
I'm not trolling here. I'm trying to have a positive, constructive discussion.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, as far as cross-dressing goes, do we all agree that people who do it, it's no big deal? Like if you want to dress in female clothing and you get off
I
on
think
that,
it's a
or you
turn
do it
off.
for a joke, is it something that's a problem in any way for you guys?
I think it's mainly a turn-off for me.
To do it or to have other people do it?
To have other people do it. There are very few men who can pull it off that actually look sexy and feminine, and at that point it's kind of hot. But most male cross-dressers I've seen, and believe me, I've seen quite a few, they don't look like, they just look like ugly 40-year-old guys in ladies' clothes, and that's a turn-off.
Yeah, that's fair enough, but do you have a problem with them doing it?
Yeah, it's a turn-off.
That's about it.
Alright, fair enough. How about you, Rumia?
Oh, that reminds me, a couple months ago, I've seen him a couple times strutting through my city. He's like this old guy, smokes a pipe, which is weird enough. But he wears like a short skirt and tights.
Is it a kilt?
It's not even a kilt.
We had a guy like that in the town where I used to live. We actually called him Kjole Ole, which is like dress, and then Ole is the name.
Dress
Oh,
man.
Fair enough.
Yeah, dress guy. And he would just
Like skirt guy,
Yeah.
or something like that, I suppose.
ride around town wearing a skirt.
Well, it is comfortable, I suppose.
He actually got
In-
kicked out of a store.
Why?
Really?
Well, because it was a pretty upscale store and they sold like expensive electronics, and he was in there and they kicked him out.
Was he like a hobo?
No, he's actually really rich, and they sold the brand Bang & Olufsen, if you're familiar with
Uh-huh.
that.
No,
And
but okay.
it's kind of a Danish designer electronics brand.
Yeah.
And he is a bit of a nut for that brand, so he has a lot of it already. So I actually believe that because he got kicked out of that store, he started buying from another store, and the manager in the store that kicked him out actually got fired over it.
Wow.
Because he basically treated a valued customer like shit just because he was wearing a skirt.
Huh. That's interesting. I mean, he was wearing underwear underneath, I assume.
As far as I know, yeah.
Because otherwise, I guess it's a bit of a different issue if he's going around flashing people. But yeah. Yeah, that's weird. Was that recently, or was it like ages ago?
I think it was somewhere in the last 20 years.
Yeah, okay. So it wasn't in the 2000s, maybe even.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think that society has changed quite a lot in regards to both gay rights and like transgender stuff.
yeah.
At least here in Sweden, where we're like hyper progressive.
I'm
Something like that might have happened in the 80s, maybe in the 90s, but in the 2000s, it's almost unthinkable. There'd be a huge uproar.
probably, well, there was a huge uproar. The guy got fired for it.
Well, but did he get fired because he lost a valued customer, or because he discriminated against a transgender / cross-dressing person?
Both.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I will say, because we're on the topic, I'm probably the one out of the three of us that follow the fighting game circuit, the community most. And
Yeah.
one of the top fighting game players, formerly Ricky Ortiz, has actually switched gender and is now Ricky Ortiz instead, with an I. And
Oh.
which is
Yeah,
good,
you're like-
because this means that now there is actually a female fighting game player that has any chance of ever getting top 8 at a real tournament.
Oh,
Oh, so it's Ricky or Ricky?
Yeah, it used to be Ricky with a Y. Now it's Ricky with an I.
That
Like-
I gotta
like Ricky Lake.
respect, Yeah, I gotta respect that decision because there's often so much hubbub where people like forget. Recently in the news, there's been this person, Bruce Jenner. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know who it is, but I know that they're in the news.
Some sports
Yeah,
guy had a sex change, is what
Formerly, he was a famous athlete, Olympian. I'm not even sure what sport it was. I think it was track or something like that. Who's recently become Caitlyn Jenner. Basically came out as transgender, and there's a big hubbub about it. But the point I was trying to make is that whenever somebody types Bruce Jenner, it's like, oh my god, how dare you, blah blah blah. Even though you've known this person as Bruce for very very long, it's difficult to switch over. So I just find the fact that that girl, decided to stick with the same name, just different spelling, is I don't know. It's kind of funny in a way.
Actually, you want my pared down opinion on the whole gender thing?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to choose your gender. You're male, you want to be female, I don't give a shit. Other way around, fine, do it. In my book, what you don't get to do is you don't get to make up 50 weird genders of your own based on how you happen to feel and make up weird ass pronouns that I'm supposed to follow.
You're such a fucking racist, man.
I feel like if today, like when I was growing up, if you liked dolls and you liked girly things and you were a guy, you know what that made you? That made you a feminine male. That made you a male with feminine traits. Whereas today, you have to have a specific gender for that. You are...
Today, that makes you a genderqueer trans male or something
or
like that?
something like that, exactly.
Yeah.
And I actually
Yeah.
feel like we're toning down tolerance because rather than having two boxes and being large about, yeah, you're in the box, whatever, you can do whatever in the box, we're making these very small boxes and everyone has to fit their box exactly. So if you don't fit your box exactly, we need to come up with a new box just for your kind of being. And I feel like that's bullshit. You're male, you're female. If you really want, you can pick which one you want and let's move on. You are what you are and it's fine.
But what about the people who don't think or feel like they belong to either of those categories?
Then
really?
just go with whatever they are biologically. Then you're a male, you just don't have very many male traits. That's fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
Man, when I was a kid, I used to get paranoid that I was a girl and I didn't know it, and I'd get in trouble for using the men's bathroom.
Was that like a recurring thing?
Well, like, I don't know. First few years of school, I guess.
So when you were like 7?
Yeah, but until about then.
Alright, that's kind of interesting, actually.
I'm not trying to imply anything, but do you think that had anything to do with your mom sending you to school in girls' clothes? I'm just saying.
I don't think so. Maybe.
Alright, anyway, to be very controversial, hopefully, we'll get some responses off of this. Basically, is transgenderism a mental disorder? If you feel like you belong to a different gender or sex than the one that you are biologically born as, is that something that's wrong with you mentally? Because, for example, some people think that their arm doesn't belong to them, and they do things like cutting it off and like putting it under a train to get rid of their arm because their arm doesn't belong to them. I think it's called something like body dysmorphia or body dysphoria or something
Yeah,
like
and
that.
there's gender dysmorphism as well.
Yeah, so is transgenderism, where you feel like you belong to the opposite sex, something that necessarily should be treated with respect instead of be treated with, drugs or be treated with therapy?
My answer is short. Absolutely, maybe sometimes.
Thanks.
I'll elaborate later.
Thanks for the insight.
I want to hear what Rumia has to say first.
Well,
Rumia.
If you don't treat it as a disorder, then you can't justify giving them treatment for it. Like, in this country, if you're suffering from, dysphoria or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you get your treatment free. That includes surgery and hormone therapy and all that stuff. So you
Okay.
can transition using the state healthcare without spending any money of your own. And that's justified because the people undergoing this are really upset about feeling like they're in the wrong body.
Yeah, but that, I think, assumes that they are correct in their assumption. The other way to view it would be that they're incorrect in their assumption, and the treatment they get would instead be to change their mind. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, right. So instead of helping them transition, you just convince them that they are in the right body.
Yeah, you fix their misconception. You make them understand that this is their body, they are the right sex, etc.
That's a tough one. It feels like, I mean, that didn't work for homosexuals, so...
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I think it's happened long enough that we know that that's probably not going to help matters. It'll just make it worse.
Alright, but so does that mean that the people with other forms of dysmorphia, if you don't think that you should have a right hand, should you be able to get treatment to cut it off?
Yes.
Yes?
Your body, do whatever the fuck you want. It's not anybody's business to tell you otherwise.
What if you're paying for it using state money, though?
No, fuck, pay out of your own pocket.
But in Britain, or in Scotland, or whatever, it seems like you can transition to the opposite sex with state money. I suppose it's the National Healthcare Service or something.
And that's where it breaks down and stops being black and white. What you really need to do here is consider how much it affects you. If your dysmorphia is to the point where it's really affecting your quality of life, it's basically ruining your life, then yeah, I believe you should have help. Whereas if it's just, it doesn't feel right, but you can deal with it just fine, then yeah, maybe get it fixed when you can afford it.
All right.
I didn't prepare...
No, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't prepare any data to share with you, but I have seen, apparently, studies that show that there is a difference between the brains of transgendered people that haven't gone through therapy and people that don't experience dysphoria. So, like, there could be a hard cause that isn't just in the head, if you know what I mean.
Fair enough, but at the same time, there's the difference between people who are schizophrenic and people who aren't, or whatever. Like, a mental disorder shows up in the brain.
Also, one thing to consider here is these people aren't all the same. I honestly believe that maybe one person has gender dysmorphia, whatever, because they have a male brain in a female body, literally. And one person might have it as a mental illness. Hell, and I honestly believe this, especially certain places on the internet, one person might have it because it's trendy and makes them fucking special.
Fair enough, yeah.
So I really think we have to look at the individual case. It's hard to generalize with something like this. I really think there are a lot of different causes, a lot of different people in a lot of different situations.
Definitely agreed. There's, it's a very broad subject, and I'm not sure where I sort of come down on it. I think that personal freedom and personal liberty is very important. If somebody wants to dress as a woman, they're free to do so. If somebody wants to get implants as a man, he's free to do so just as much as he is, or she, I suppose in this case, is free to get a tattoo or piercings or extreme body modification stuff. They're free to castrate themselves. It's their body. But I don't know, it's a difficult line, because even if it is a mental disorder, which I'm not saying it is, but if it is, then maybe we should still let people transition. Maybe that is the best cure, because the reverse of it doesn't seem to work in a lot of cases. I don't know. The suicide rate amongst transgenders is like sky high. I think I might be getting this wrong, but I think it's like 30 times the average or something like that.
Jesus.
Or maybe it's like 30% of people who transition kill themselves or something like that. It's at least it's very high. Hang on, somebody's making like metal-y plastic noises in the mic.
That's Rumia.
Oh, sorry.
Rumia, please. But yeah, it's very difficult, and I definitely think that we should respect people, at least because of the way society works right now. People are allowed to transition, and well, then we should respect that, and we should treat them like normal human beings. And I really, really dislike the way people refuse to use whatever pronoun they choose to identify as. Like when somebody has transitioned from male to female and they keep calling her a him. I can understand if you do it accidentally, but if you do it maliciously, you're just being a dick, in my opinion.
I will do it. I will be malicious about it and be a dick. Again, with the weird subgender paragenders, and
of
you
course.
have to
I'm
call
not gonna
me
call anyone Xir or Xir self or whatever.
But yeah,
Fuck
like
off.
with Ricky Ortiz, I call Ricky Ortiz her half the time and him half the time. And that's because roughly half the time I remember.
Yeah, but I mean, if somebody says like, so Ricky Ortiz is on the stage, her dress is looking nice, and then you come in like, his dress, then you're just being a dick.
Yeah, that's just pointless.
Yeah. I also want to ask you guys about children in regards to transgenderism, because we already touched on it a little
22 or so.
Where basically you as kids, you might have been, at least Rumia might have been slightly confused about his sexuality, or he had these weird fears, or not sexuality, but his gender identity or whatever. Do you think it's legitimate, or do you think it should happen that parents or caretakers allow underage kids to start like hormone therapy?
I honestly think that a lot more young people, like you're saying college, like 15 and up, are wondering about their gender identity today because it's a thing.
Well, I'm not sure about college. I'm talking about
but when I was
kindergarten and...
Okay, because when I was growing up, gender identity wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'd ever heard...
You hear these...
I don't think I'd ever heard that word until 10 years ago.
That's true enough, and I think that's a trend that's happened where it's become more public. But you hear about these kindergartners, like the guy or whatever, the kid who likes to play with dolls, and then he wants to wear mommy's dress, that kind of stuff. And then you put him through some therapy and figure out that maybe he should have gender reassignment surgery or therapy or whatever you want to call it.
I think you should wait.
The problem with that, though, is the longer you wait, the harder it gets. If you do it before puberty, you can basically get it flawless.
Oh, you can?
But if puberty has hit the body, then basically the male or female hormones, you start developing Adam's apple. And
I honestly wasn't aware of that, of the medical implications, but it does make sense.
I think that is an interesting sort of facet to it.
Because
if you get it before puberty, you can sort of halt the development of male sexual characteristics, that kind of stuff.
By the way, just as an aside, I noticed that whenever we're talking about this, we are automatically assuming male to female.
Male to female, yeah. That's just the perspective I have.
That's
and
just
I think
wishful thinking.
It is more common, but yeah, it's worth noting, Andersen. But I don't think there's too much to it.
No, I don't think so either. It's just fun fact.
Yeah. So Rumia, do you think that there should be some sort of allowance for parents to make that decision for their kids?
Sometimes kids say stupid stuff. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to say that I wanted to be a robot.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of glad they didn't let me go ahead and follow my dreams.
That's a good point.
So if you were sat in front of a counselor and asked about your robot dreams, and they asked you if you felt uncomfortable in a fleshy body, and explained to you in the best way they can to a 7-year-old about how they are going to replace your flesh with metal and your veins with wires, do you think that you would have transitioned into a robot?
Fuck, I would do that now if they could make it happen.
That's fair enough, yeah, that is fair enough.
Upload when, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get don't you get puberty inhibitors that stop it from happening?
Yeah.
So if there's this question, you could maybe put it off for a few years with those, and then see what they feel like later on.
The longer you wait, the worse it's gonna be, basically.
I think, with what you're saying, I think there should be made allowances for it, but only in extreme cases.
Such as?
I mean...
What's an extreme case in this situation?
The degree to which the child is gender dysmorphic. The degree to which they feel alienated by their birth gender.
Alright. So not just being a feminine boy, but being a woman in a boy's body, I suppose.
Yeah,
or being a girl in a boy's
exactly.
body.
You used the good example, the boy that wants to wear mommy's dresses and wants to play with dolls. Well, maybe... I mean... One boy who's like that might have gender reassignment and grow up as the woman he was meant to be. And one might just be gay. And one might be nothing of it. Just
curious or wants to play, or Maybe the dress has nice silk or something.
Yeah, just have feminine traits, and that's the danger with all these boxes. That I don't think we should be too quick to assign either box. I think we should. That's why I'm in favor of waiting it out. But I can see the medical difficulties in that.
Yeah.
Especially since there's a whole thing where the human brain isn't fully developed to human status until the early 20s.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a very complicated issue.
Sounds volatile as fuck.
Yeah, it is. Just an aside, nothing we've planned for, but something that just sprung to mind, and I'm curious. I'll ask Rumia, because he hasn't talked for a while. Rumia, were you born straight? Or did you at some point figure out or choose your sexuality?
You're assuming here that Rumia is straight. That's pretty...
Well, I did ask him before if he was homosexual, and he said he wasn't.
Those are not the only options.
Fair enough, but...
I think
were you born with your current sexuality, or was that something that developed over time? Did you ever experiment and figure it out, or...?
I think I might have been born asexual. I'm not sure. And then I sort of got straight.
Well, I mean, everybody's asexual before puberty, I guess, in some ways.
But yeah, I didn't...
But like when you started to grow hair on your chest, as they say, did you ever find boys attractive, or like was it ever an option for you?
No, I mean I didn't ever see men in the same way.
All right. What about you, Andersen? Do you believe that you were born with your sexuality?
No, I honestly don't believe any of us are, because I feel like our sexuality isn't just a thing we have. I feel like it's something that develops with us.
Do you think it's fluid?
Yes.
As well?
Yes.
Do you think one could change or sort of develop later in life as well?
I would say yes. I feel like our sexuality is maybe not a subdivision of our personality, but at least something parallel to it. It's something we have, like we have a personality, and your personality is changed and shaped. I mean, maybe you are largely the same guy you were a year ago, but if we look down in details, there's probably been some changes. And I feel...
And especially if you look back to how you were when you were 15 compared to now.
Yeah, and I feel like the same way your life changes who you are, your sexual life and sexual experiences will affect your sexuality. But to answer your question in a more good faith way, the way it was intended, I'm probably more straight now than I was growing up. I'm either bisexual or what some would call heteroflexible. I like both, but I do most of the time mainly like women.
Yeah,
and
that's fair enough.
I feel like growing up, when I started experimenting with sex around 4 years of age, I was more...
Around 4, what?
Yeah, I started experimenting with sex in kindergarten with a couple of girls and a couple of guys in the pillow room.
Hey-o.
Like show me yours, show you mine kind of thing?
No, more than that.
Or way, like... Well, let's not dig into it, it's not important.
Let's just say if I'd been able to get an erection back then, there would have been intercourse. That's as far as we went.
Alright, wow, okay.
Holy shit.
Jesus. Fair enough. So you were saying about how you're more straight now than you were then?
Back then, I mean, this is all in hindsight. I mean, this is literally 28 years ago. But back then, as I remember, I didn't really have a preference. I'd go for either. Whereas now, I'll still go for either, but I do have a preference. I like to compare it to being with a man is having a nice, tender piece of chicken, and being with a woman is having a fat, juicy steak.
Yeah, both can be nice, but there's still one that's objectively better. If
I have the choice, then 9 times out of 10, I will go for the steak. Once in a while, I will prefer the chicken to the steak, and if I only offered one of them, I will be perfectly happy.
That's fair enough. I think that's a very nice analogy, and it works. It works really well, I think.
I'm good
because we can relate to food, but we can't relate to women or men.
I'm good with food analogies.
If it's not too personal, I don't know. You're very welcome to just decline the question.
I'm very candid.
Yeah, have you been with both?
Oh yes.
All right, fair enough. I suppose that's, but more women than men.
No, I actually think more times with women than with men, because with women it's been very much repeat things.
Yeah, I guess it's easier to have casual sex with a dude. Really.
That's a stereotype, and as far as I've been able to tell, it's absolutely true. I think numerically, I've been with a higher number of men than I have with women, but I've definitely had more sex overall with women than I have with men.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, do you guys have any other things to say about this topic, or shall we move on?
I wanted to ask, 'cause this is what the big question for me is. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm just the only one who doesn't understand it, or if like we're all equally clueless.
Mm-hmm.
How did you?
Probably just you being a moron. No, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
How did you guys know that you were male? Like the way some people say it's like they feel male or female.
Yeah,
And
I think that's a very interesting question.
I think for me, it's because I probably have absolutely no dysmorphia. So for me, I was born male, my body is male. That's good enough for me. That makes me male.
You're also culturally male, I
Absolutely,
suppose.
absolutely. And again, because I've never had a feeling of wrongness about it, I've never challenged it or really questioned it.
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
quite secure in it.
Do you guys think that you'd feel dysphoria if you like grew a pair of breasts or something?
If you sorry?
If you grew a pair of boobs, like would that make you feel weird or unmanly?
After a couple of weeks when we stopped playing with them,
That's what I was gonna say.
But I think you could take the question further. If I suddenly woke up in a woman's body, would I adopt to that, or would I do something about it eventually? I think it's better because just boobs is not that big of a deal because I would still have a penis. But you know, if you, I'll just throw it back to you, Rumia. If you woke up tomorrow and you were suddenly in a female's body, how would you feel about that? Would it be wrong?
I don't know.
Other than the initial shock, of course, because like, whoa.
I was about to say I would feel like a Kafkaesque abyss of dread.
Yeah. But I mean, if we fast forward until you've lived like that for a while, and basically, would you do things to try to get back to being a man again? Do you think that you would change the way you behave? Would you maybe get more female friends? Like, how would you react?
If my life changed
way?
for the worse, I would probably go back. Because it would probably have an effect on the rest of my life.
Yeah, of course.
But like, I was thinking like, maybe when I'm retired I'll just become a woman for like a few years. And then come back. Just to see what happens. Because like when I'm retired no one will care.
Man, if we could do that, if we could just flick a switch and switch our genders, honestly, I mean, I don't feel transgender at all, but I would probably spend at least a third of my time as a woman just because what the hey.
We could call it like a gender holiday. I'm predicting this will happen. We'll have gender holidays.
Gender holidays, yeah.
I would invest in that. I would buy stock in gender holidays associated.
Yeah. Well, for me, honestly, it's kind of a sexual thing. I'm kind of into transformation, I suppose, or whatever, like male to female stuff in porn and such. So it would be basically a fetish coming to life. So I suppose that kind of colors it in a very different way. I'm not sure I could be objective about it in the same way.
That begs a question from me I have to ask.
Uh-huh.
Ranma 1/2, hot or not?
I read it as somewhat of a young kid, I guess, and maybe it has somehow stuck with me, developed my sexuality today, but no, it's not a turn on, because it's comedic, and I hate comedy in porn.
What do you mean you hate comedy in porn?
I hate when
So
porn
you don't like Scottish
make
porn?
jokes and shit like that.
But you love porn parodies. You stream porn parodies, for God's sake.
Yeah, but I mean that's funny. That's I stream them. Not
You stream it for the
um,
comedy, not for the porn.
Exactly.
Alright, okay,
I can't
okay, fair
like
point.
masturbate to that shit because if somebody tells a joke and if it works, I start laughing and you know you lose the moment.
Not
It's
masturbating
hot
to
anymore,
Evan
it's
Stone
funny
on
instead.
his feet, on his knees, playing Tyrion. Please.
Yeah, exactly. And if somebody tells a joke and it doesn't work, it just kills the mood for me because it breaks the fantasy and it's like, oh, they're acting and they're terrible at it and I don't enjoy this
So
anymore.
you've never jerked off to SpongeBob?
No.
I am still trying to find someone else who's done that.
Go to DeviantArt. You'll fucking...
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You'll find your people
I mean,
there.
you have to wade through like 46 Sonic groups, but then you might find a SpongeBob one. All right. I think we should move along. This has
Quickly.
been an interesting discussion, though. And again, I'd like to encourage our listeners. Hopefully, we still have some at this point.
Not likely.
To send us some feedback about this.
You know,
You can-
we have a lot of listeners because this is going to go viral and we are going to drown in hate mail.
Hopefully. I mean, I would accept or gladly accept any hate mail. If there's somebody from here who just virulently, what is it called?
I know how to
Vehemently.
spell it, but yeah.
Incredibly much disagrees with
Actually,
us.
let's ask Rumia.
then-
He's a native speaker.
No, I'm Scottish.
Is it virulently or virulently?
Isn't it vehemently?
That's a-
Vehemently.
Vehemently, that's the word I was thinking
Oh.
about, but virulently is also a word, or virulently, or whatever. Anyway, if somebody vehemently disagrees with us, please do email me at dopelives@gmail.com. I would love to basically hear your counter-arguments to anything we're saying. And if you agree with us, well, just post a comment as well, I suppose.
I mean, if we get enough feedback, we'll be forced to do an entire podcast on picking the subject back up.
Yeah, I mean, that would be fun as fuck. But you don't need to agree or disagree. You might just have some thoughts or a separate tangent, a question that is related to what we've been talking about. Anyway, you can post a comment, email me, dopelives@gmail.com, or find me or Andersen on Twitter. The links will be in the description to that. Anyway, moving on. The next topic of discussion that we had planned is The Witcher 3. Now that's very broad, and it's a very good game, I think. I've not actually played it, but I think it's a very good game.
Have you played it,
It
Rumia?
looks very good.
I haven't played any of the Witcher games.
The blind leading the blind. None of us have played it.
It's awesome. Anyway, I would actually like to talk about The Witcher 3 because of the reactions it has garnered. I'm not sure if you guys follow me on Twitter or read the things I retweet, but I've retweeted a lot of the things I've been reading about
The fact that there are no black people in medieval Poland.
Mm-hmm.
It's not actually set in
Exactly.
Poland, is it?
Yeah, it's set in Poland, or it's set in Slavic mythology.
It's
Like,
it's
it's
set
not
in
set in
Poland the
Poland
same way
geo-
normal Western fantasy is set in medieval England / France.
Yeah, exactly. It's set in Poland the same way Game of Thrones is set in England, you know. It's the English culture or the Polish culture, the Slavic culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically there's a huge hubbub. It's racist because there aren't any black people in it, and it's sexist because there are sexy ladies in it.
It's a
And-
kind of an older argument, but I've heard the same thing numerous times about Disney, how they whitewash their stories. There are no black people in Beauty and the Beast.
And there are no white people in Milan.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, no, it's fun. No, nobody had a problem with that.
yeah. Anyway, if I am allowed to step onto my soapbox for a bit, I have.
Go ahead.
a
Let me get the
lot-
popcorn.
Yeah, I have a lot of problem with this line of reasoning. Basically, the social justice warriors, to use that term, which I dislike,
Boo.
are attacking a Polish developer for making a Polish game. It is too white. It is too white. Well, I guess it is very white because Poland is 98% fucking white. They have barely any immigrants living there. Is it that strange that they make a game that reflects the culture in which they live? And especially seeing as it is set in the historical past in medieval Poland, in Slavic mythology. There were no people of color
Can
there.
I be the
ones-
devil's advocate because I want to parrot an argument back at you that I've heard as a counter argument to that.
If you're gonna tell me that fantasy, you have witches and harpies, so
But there are elves
it's not
and
that
dwarves.
outrageous.
Why can't there be?
Shut up!
I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
you addressed that stupid piece of shit.
Yeah. So because it's fantasy, I mean it's fantasy. Who cares? Historical accuracy went out the window when you included harpies and elves. But that's not how it works. It's still internally consistent and internally logical.
There's a really good word for
It's-
that, for realism without realism.
Mhm.
Verisimilitude.
Yeah, sure, fair enough. It's kind of like there's magic, there's minotaurs and there's dragons.
But it still has to
why
be internal.
doesn't Geralt have an iPhone? Like, but those are very different things. I don't know. I'm terrible at formulating a cohesive argument, but I think that the fact that Polish people are being attacked is kind of disgusting in many ways. It is almost racist because Polish people in Europe are not, they're not part of the homogeneous.
Actually, no.
white
Let's be
culture.
more blunt. Polish people are to Europe what Mexicans are to America.
Yes, that is basically what I was trying to get at. Polish culture or Polish people, they are discriminated against in Europe. Historically, they were taken as slaves. The word Slav comes from the fact that they were taken slaves a lot by various other cultures. And today, Polish people are discriminated. You talk to a British person about the Polish coworker or Polish carpenter, and you're basically gonna get the same sort of rhetoric that you do for Mexican illegal immigrants in America.
They really are the immigrant
they
workers.
migrate and they take our jobs, that kind of stuff. They're lazy and they live off welfare. I'm not saying that everybody is racist against them, obviously, but
There's a
that's-
prevalent trend.
yeah. So the fact that this game that's made in Poland by Polish developers and is very Polish, it has very Polish culture, it has the Polish mythology, it's being attacked for being too Polish. I think that's basically racist. I think they're complaining about the racism of this game, and they're being racist as they do
I actually
it.
think we have a brilliant perspective on this today, because we have a Scot.
Boy.
And that's kind of a similar place that has its own culture and history. So Rumia, assuming that a game was made about the Highlanders, not any William Wallace bullshit, but actually a clan of Highlanders doing Highlander things, but
Eating fucking sheep.
but you're really undermining my point there, man.
No.
Like-
Rumia. We said Scottish, not Welsh.
Also,
They-
we Highlanders, not specifically your family, but just Highlanders in general.
Oh!
But it also included magic. You also had like Elf Hills and Trow and whatever else Scottish mythology has to offer. Would you feel it would be a reasonable critique if people were then angry that there weren't enough Spanish people in it?
I don't think it would be a good critique. I mean, I think it would be pretty safe from critique because it's all Americans that are getting whipped up about this, and they can't tell the difference between us and the Irish. So it's like
Yeah.
we dodge it fairly easily.
Yeah. I the fact that America, or the USA I should say, is such a melting pot of culture. There is 20 or 12% or something black, and a bunch of Asians and Hispanic, etc. It's multicultural in the fact that you have multiple skin colors, I suppose. It would be strange to make a game set in modern USA and not have any black people or any Asians or any Hispanics. It would be, I suppose, even racist.
Whitewashing.
Because you would intentionally be excluding them. Yeah,
That
it
would
be
actually be
whitewashing.
whitewashing.
Even if you set a game in the 1700s in the US, there should be black people, at least as long as you're not like playing in the aristocracy. There were black people back then, even though they were mostly slaves. They existed, so if you don't include them at all, that would be weird.
Wouldn't there already, even then, also be a fuckload of Chinese immigrants?
Yeah, probably. But
And at that point, the white people wouldn't be the homogenous America that they are today, and they're not that homogenous
Yeah.
today. But they would be a smorgasbord
of Brits and Spaniards and French and everything.
and back
really.
to our old friends, the Polacks.
Yeah.
A lot of Polish immigrants.
Yeah, and Irish as well, I suppose. Although it came a bit later, but yeah. There would be it's always been multicultural.
I
Let's
think-
not forget Native Americans.
I think
guess.
maybe
They
us,
might be
and,
there,
and I might be undercutting you here, this might be the point you were getting to, that gives them kind of a bias. Because if you're from America, you're used to everything being multicultural just by default. So you
Yeah.
might see a game that follows something like European or Asian medieval fairly realistic demographics.
Yeah.
You might see that as whitewashing or yellowwashing, as it were, just because you're used to there always being people of different races.
Yeah. It's kind of like you put a game in the Sengoku period, I think it's called, in Japan, like the rivaling tribes or whatever. rivaling clans, the war between the clans. I don't know what the fuck it's called, but and then you just ask the question, why aren't there any white people here? Why is everybody Japanese? I think that's the same issue as calling Witcher racist because it has too many Polish people.
To really make it the same issue, it has to be during the Sengoku period with demons and magic.
Yeah, if you have
Oni and
Kitsune
sorcery, yeah.
and Oni, yeah. But
and when that added into it, I completely agree with you.
I guess it's kind of.
I suppose there. I've just been ranting and raving about this for a while because it's, it's hit a nerve with me really. This forced diversity that would be almost harmful. To
and
the
here's the problem. Here's the problem. Let's say that people look at the critique that what are they No, that's not. What's the company that made Witcher?
CD Projekt.
CD Projekt. Let's say that other people look at the critique and then they have some brilliant game and they look at it and go, well, this game is too white, we have to change it. And then maybe they change a potentially great game just to put it on the altar of forced diversity. I think it's a form, and we're getting back to the last podcast here, I think this is a form of self-censorship that could start being enforced.
Yeah, well, social pressure forcing self-censorship. Yeah, definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. There wouldn't be a problem with having a black character in The Witcher, or having an Arab or a traveling merchant from Africa or a Spaniard or something like that. There would be absolutely no problem. It wouldn't break my immersion. It would be realistic, but at the same time, there shouldn't have to be. I think that's the crux of the issue.
Real obligation on them.
Yeah.
I don't think they have to prove themselves to, people from over the seas.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's the Hollywood sort of thing where Hollywood movies and Hollywood games in a way, with the Call of Duties and the Activision, the EAs, all that kind of stuff. It kind of makes sense to complain to them about representation because that's the American culture. But when it's basically... It's adding to the diversity of games when we suddenly have a Polish developer making a very popular game because we haven't heard a Polish voice in gaming before the same way.
What's interesting is I remember when the first Witcher came out, the people who are complaining now were saying, this is great, this is diversity, we've got Polish developers coming mainstream. And, almost what's the word? Without really thinking about it, they just sort of switched sides, basically.
Yeah.
Before they were lauding CD Projekt, and now they're hating on them.
Yeah. Another thing, sorry again to get up on the fucking soapbox here, another thing that really strikes a nerve with me is the fact that the Witcher series is basically an analogy for racism and sectarian violence, in the fact that you have the Nilfgaardians who are basically the evil outside force, and then you have the way that dwarves and elves are being treated by the humans, which is very reminiscent of World War II and the Jews. How Germany came in and, they put the Jews in Poland in ghettos. It's basically a big analogy for that. I suppose it goes a lot deeper than that, but, the evil outside force coming into this quote-unquote peaceful country, and then suddenly there's race riots and there's, basically genocide as people start mistrusting each other, all that kind of stuff. So it actually does a lot of positive for the cause of anti-racism because it makes the players think about it. When I was playing it the other day, The Witcher 2 that was, but there was this character who's basically an enemy of the elves in the forest who are attacking the city, and you can ask him about so what about all the peaceful elves and dwarves that we have in the city? Are they all guilty by association? And then he has this very deep and complex answer to it. He's basically not just a hardline racist. He actually talks about the implications of everything and how, basically how the dynamics of race works in real life. It really made me think, and I think that The Witcher 3 is very similar from what I've seen of it. And I think that accusing it of being racist is really missing the point.
Yeah, actually, you're bringing it up as an analogy in elves and dwarves and so on. Someone on Twitter said, and this might have been you saying or retweeting it, or it was someone else, who asked the question, well, in a fantasy setting, if you had black people or if you had Asians, would they actually be seen as humans or as their own separate race?
That was in chat. Doniak asked
Oh,
that.
was it?
Yeah, and that's really interesting, I think, as well. If they would be seen as outsiders, or if they would be allies to the humans automatically because they're all humans, even though they're foreigners, etc.
I mean, if you take like, let's take a standard Slav Polish with the gaunt cheekbones and the whole thing, and
Yeah.
then let's take like a Nigerian coal black man straight off the savannah. I mean, superficially, just at a glance, the physical resemblance between the Polak and the elf is closer than between the Polak and the Nigerian.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't know. It's fun to speculate, but I think that's kind of beside the point. There is like one person of color, as they call it, in the first Witcher. He's a traveler from a distant place, which is basically Arabia or Persia or whatever. And he's treated like a human. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun to speculate, but maybe you would muddy up the waters a bit if you had like different skin colors of humans that had some sort of internal struggle, because as I said, I think that the analogy of like the race relations is so central to the story of The Witcher that maybe it would actually lose some of its meaning if you suddenly added different types of humans, so to say.
Well, to be fair, I was stepping back and talking fantasy in general, not just The Witcher.
Yeah, fair enough. I responded to that when Doniak asked it with just a tiny anecdote that I'm running a D&D game, and one of the players is playing a character who's got dark skin. He's a human, but he's got dark skin. And the dwarves and the gnomes and the humans in the city all basically treat him as a foreigner. Even though they're different races, they still see him as an outsider because they're sort of grouped together in their little city, and then this man with different skin color just stands out, even though like even to the gnome who has, you know, pointy ears and big eyes, he sees him differently because he's got dark
So
skin.
he's considered human, but he's also considered obviously not from around here.
Exactly.
And actually, speaking to D&D, something I would do a lot, because I sometimes find that fantasy can get a bit washed out with too many fantastic races. I actually sometimes, in some games I've run, I've said people can only play humans. And then I let you use the rules of different fantastic races for different races of humans. These people are known to be proud and fierce warriors, so you use the rules of half-orcs because they make good warriors. These people have innate arcane, you use the rules for high elves, so on and so forth, to keep it like diversified but still human-centric.
Kind of like the Elder Scrolls, where you have Redguards and Nords and Bretons and all that. They're all humans, but they still have different innate abilities and strengths and weaknesses and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright. Rumia, anything to add about this? It's kind of been me raving for a while now, but
Just a bit. I guess,
Yeah.
on a positive note, it is a step up that people consider Polish to be white now.
yeah, that's true enough.
Exclamation mark wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at a Polish person and say, "Oh, he's normal," but you can look at a black person like, "Oh, he's not normal." Anyway, let's move on to more video games related things. Let us talk about hatred. Andersen, do you know what hatred even is?
I'm aware of its existence. I know that it basically sold itself on being controversial.
Yes. Rumia, Rumia, have you played Hatred?
No, I did watch the streams, but I didn't play it myself.
Right. So the bottom line, Andersen, what you said is 100% true. It had this trailer where there's this guy like, "I'm so tired of everything. My name is not important. What matters is how many people I'm gonna kill."
I always
Like
wanted
this-
to die violently.
Yeah, exactly.
McEdgenstein.
He's basically a quote-unquote school shooter kind of guy.
That's really, if I had to sum up the game from my understanding, it is killing spree simulator.
Yeah, that's fair enough, and that's kind of what it is. It's a twin stick, as they call it. Basically, you know, you control your character's movement with one stick and the aim with the other, or mouse and keyboard in this case, since it's a PC game mostly. But yeah, despite all the controversy that trailer whipped up, and despite the massive publicity that they got from it, I would never have heard of this game if it didn't have this controversy attached to it. And I would have never played it, and I wouldn't have missed much, because the game is boring.
Did you pay for the game?
I did not pay for it, no. I didn't want to fall for the hype,
Well,
so I pirated it.
Because if you had, then all I'd had to say was mission complete.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people who did, and they were also disappointed. It's very short to begin with, but the problem with the game is that it is in no way controversial. Okay, yes, you're playing a guy who's killing innocent people, and then there's cops, he calls them pigs, and he throws grenades at them, and they die, and you go into the sewers, and you kill sleeping hobos to regenerate your health, which sounds kind of terrible, but the way it's presented is so very, very tame.
In God of War, you grab civilians and rip them in half, literally, to regain health.
Yeah, exactly. This game could have been interesting as some sort of cathartic sadism kind of experience where, you know, you basically torture people for your own amusement. I think there is a value to that in games. You might have played The Sims and locked people in a room, they piss themselves and then you lit them on fire, you know, that kind of stuff. You put them in the pool, you remove the ladder. It's fun. It's like...
Listening to people, that was the purpose of The Sims.
Yeah, exactly. But in the end, you're basically torturing people. But it's fun because I'm not entirely sure why, but this game doesn't accomplish that same fun. Killing innocent people is gamified in a way, so you there's no health kits. Instead, you regain your health by executing wounded people on the ground. So, like, you shoot an innocent person, then you go up and you put your shotgun in their mouth and execute them. But there's no shock value to it. It is very, very uncontroversial. It is more gruesome to load up GTA 3 or 4 or 5 and go out and start murdering civilians in that game, because they have more emotion and it's not gamified in the same way. You're actually being a dick. You're not doing it to gain a benefit in the game. It's not the point of the game. So to be killing civilians in GTA, you're actually being quote-unquote evil in a way that you're not in hatred.
Because it's meaningless violence, whereas in hatred it's the point.
Exactly. And hatred also fails to be provocative in any way. Like, if they really wanted to stir up controversy, where is the part where we put lighter fluid on a dog and put it ablaze? Or where's the point where we
rape a child,
cut up a pregnant woman's belly and rip out her baby and make a joke about abortion? Like, there's so many ways they could make this game horrible, yeah, like disgusting, revolting, but it's just tame, it's boring.
Do you think, like, once the shitstorm started, they knew that they were going to sell a lot, and they just didn't really bother?
I'm sure they basically, like, I can imagine the meeting going like, you know, boss, this game, it's not that good. We can't really spend too much more time developing it, though. Our budgets kind of ran out. Well, I guess it won't sell very well then. Hang on, I have an idea. How about we use the social justice warriors to market our game? Let's make Polygon and Rock Paper Shotgun write articles about it. Let's release this trailer that shows how dark and grim it is, and then we will pretend to be outraged by it, and then many people will see it and it'll sell well.
Here's the thing, There is definitely a market for sadism simulators because, to my understanding, and I don't have the latest figures, I'll admit that much, but this game has been pretty successful. It was
the top seller for a while on Steam.
Yeah, and who bought it? I mean, people who wanted to buck the trend and play the edgy controversial game, and people who wanted it for the sadism simulator that it then turned out not to be, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah. I also know of a few people personally who bought it for basically to spite the people who were outraged, you know, to basically because it got controversy, because people were asking for it to be banned. They bought it out of principle because they don't want anybody to touch their video games, you know?
Yeah, I could imagine a few people from chat.
Yeah.
Wasn't some of the controversy also over, like, the political affiliation of one of the developers on it?
Yeah, the devs really kind of sold that shit up. I think he might have been a neo-Nazi or something like that, white supremacist or something or another, and it got really widely published for a while, which I guess is, I don't know.
I will still enjoy a pretty picture, even if Adolf Hitler painted it.
It's a shame he was such a shit artist, though.
Yes.
Hey. It's kind of funny.
But my point is, at least my ability to enjoy quote-unquote art is not hinged on my opinion or view of the quote-unquote artist in question.
Agreed. Rumia, any thoughts on the whole fake controversy around hatred?
I try not to think or talk about it because I don't want to give bloggers money by like reading about it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I thought just popped into my head about the neo-Nazi thing.
Mm-hmm.
People are outraged and will boycott a game if a neo-Nazi makes it, but then they'll vote for presidents who quite happily kill more brown people than the neo-Nazi ever would.
Yeah, sure.
Like, when you think about it...
Yeah, sure. It's, I'm not sure it has much to do with hatred, but it is an interesting thought.
Well...
how you can sort of attack somebody for their political leanings, but then, I suppose, almost inadvertently support at least a system that marginalizes and even kills, different people than you. It's food for thought in a way, I suppose.
I guess we can just kind of chalk up hatred to being a proof of concept that almost kind of counterculture viral marketing can definitely work.
Definitely. I mean, it's not like it hasn't been done before. If you look at Postal, or at least Postal 2, when Jack Thompson, I think that was in that whole roundabout, that basically that came out, and how the media reacted to that. And I guess it's basically the Barbra Streisand effect in many ways. You call for something to be eliminated or banned, and you just make more people interested in it.
Yeah. What do you think, like, the next thing will be? Because now that it's been proven that you can do it this way, do you think someone's going to go to some, like literally make a school shooter simulator or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think it's absolutely guaranteed that will happen. The question is whether that will happen with a basement dev or a real dev, but it is definitely going to happen.
I think it's worth noting that hatred, despite the fact that you're basically playing a school shooter, there's no point where you actually shoot up a school. That would at least have been slightly edgy. Like, it wouldn't have been a big deal, sure, but if you go into a school and kill a bunch of kids, like defenseless, go into a classroom, killing the teacher, etc., that would have been controversial in a real sense, because that's an actual thing that happens in real life that many people are upset about, that many people would, I suppose, be triggered by, but that never happens. You never do anything like that. It's just tame.
Would the game have been better if it did?
I think so.
For what the game seemed to be trying to accomplish, yes.
For what it tried to do, it would have been better if there was... It didn't evoke much enjoyment from me because the gameplay is bad, but maybe it could have evoked some disgust or discomfort or even glee, like sadist glee would have been fine. I mean, I don't mind if people enjoy hurting virtual people, that's fine. If there's an outlet for that, then sure. I mean, people enjoy games like GTA or even Postal, or Manhunt is a good example, where you're basically killing innocent people, or Hitman 47, where you can kill people and steal their clothing even though they're completely innocent, and you're basically you're a hired assassin in that game. So I think there's definitely room in the market to play a violent, even psychotic killer, and I think it could be very fun to play those games. Any thoughts?
I think you pretty much covered it from my angle.
All right. Well, moving on then to the final topic of today, I want to talk about Revolution 60. Have you seen the game yet, Rumia?
I saw one picture, and I thought it was like a fan art of No One Lives Forever. Apparently that's what they're going for, though, so...
Kind of, yeah, like the sexy spy kind of thing. Andersen, did you see it at all?
I saw 2 minutes of the video you linked me, and I mean, it was hideous, but it's a mobile game, right? From
Yes.
what I saw, it seemed to be doing like what you can do with a touchscreen for the actual gameplay parts. It was like, oh, you need to do a commando roll to not get hit, so draw a circle on the screen. Okay, you need to go from here to here, draw a line. Okay.
I think you're grossly underselling the mobile market, because there are really, really good mobile games that don't rely on those touchscreen gimmicks. But fair enough, if you really want to use...
I remember
like,
that detective game you wanted me to play, that I played. That was really good. But here's my point. What I just described, isn't that basically what you can do if you're not doing point and click? Because the detective game was point and click.
There are a lot of games that play with a virtual D-pad, and I think they are all terrible because the virtual D-pad doesn't work. But there are also games where you like shoot 'em ups. Like you control the ship either by tilting the screen or like dragging on it and stuff like that, which don't, they're not point and click. They're action games, and they're better.
I play Robot Unicorn Attack 2. I have played Plague Incorporated, and I have played on a virtual Android that detective game you put me onto. That is
Devil's Attorney, by the way.
Yeah.
I need to shout that out because it's a great game.
Another recommendation. Definitely try that. And apart from back in the Snake days, those are my experiences with mobile gaming. Just to disclose where I'm coming from. I'm coming from knowing fuck about shit.
So from your perspective, you'd be hyped to play Revolution 60, right? That looks like a massive evolution in mobile gaming.
No, but I wasn't the thing is, it looks like ass. My perspective is just, I wasn't expecting any better than that from mobile games.
That's fair enough. But even putting that aside, that it is a platform which is haunted by terrible, terrible games and sales practices, I can't understand why Revolution 60 has won several awards.
Me either. It looks like it should be on Newsgrounds.
No sense.
It legitimately looks like it should be on Newsgrounds.
Yes, it definitely does. That is the best analogy you could have made. I agree so much with you. This looks like a free game that should be on Newgrounds. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that it's developed by a famous, I guess, transgender person, and it's been sort of hailed in the, social justice circles as something influential. Blah, blah,
It's
blah.
not. Is it about being transgender?
No, not at all. That's what I'm
then
getting
why
to.
is that even relevant?
It makes no sense because you're playing this sort of sexualized female character. It doesn't seem any different from anything else.
Actually, on that point, if you want to compare it to something that also has ass graphics and a sexualized female character, how about comparing it to early Tomb Raider?
Yeah, exactly. Or as Rumia said, No One Lives Forever, because it's about some sort of spy stuff. I don't really get it. I must say. I don't mean to pick on the game or whatever.
But it's ass.
That's not really the point. I just wanted to bring it up because I find it really funny. I've laughed at those videos and the reviews where people are basically praising it because it looks so bad.
So the topic here isn't how ass the game, but how, at least to us, disproportionate the response seems.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the competition isn't exactly fierce on the mobile platform, is it?
I don't know, there's Hearthstone on mobile now, so that alone is 160 bajillion hours for you to play. There's XCOM and various, you can emulate Nintendos and all that kind of stuff. It's not like you can't play good games on your mobile phone. It's not like you have to play stuff like Revolution 60.
You think it's the social justice hype train that it just got echo chambered?
Perhaps.
Sort of like
I honestly don't know.
the opposite of
But
hatred,
I don't
maybe.
want to... Yeah, maybe it is the opposite of hatred, I don't know. At the same time, I don't want to dismiss the fact that it's getting praise, because people have different opinions than I do. Maybe they like it for whatever indeterminate reason. Maybe it just appeals to them, where it just doesn't to me at all. So I don't know.
I get if you grew up. I can see how if you grew up with a PlayStation 1 at the beginning of the PlayStation 1 lifetime, I can see how the graphics might be nostalgic for you.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've said enough about that. I basically just wanted to point at it and laugh, I suppose. is there anything else you guys would like to bring up before we wrap this podcast
No,
up?
I think we're about ready to wrap up. I just want to know, Rumia, if people want more pearls of wisdom from your mouth, where can they find you online?
In the chat mostly, but also on Twitter at Rumia Pilkington. I don't know why I have that name.
I know why you have that name.
I don't think I've
because
earned
you
it.
are so similar to Pilkington.
Not even true.
And the things that you say, it's so great.
It's overstated. Like you
No,
wouldn't believe.
No, it is so true. Did you not just recently like burn jelly beans or something like that when you were trying to make food?
That was stir fry I burnt.
No, but you'd like try to cook jelly beans.
I've done it before.
Tell us about it.
Well, they're actually really nice when they're warm. But they're also really nice when they're cold. So you can put them in the freezer. I mean the fridge. And
Alright.
have like chilled jelly beans. Basically, room
So anything
temperature.
is better than room temperature.
Yeah, I mean you're selling for the worst with room temperature jelly beans.
All right. Anyway, more gems of wisdom at Rumia Pilkington on Twitter. You can find me at dopefish_lives on Twitter, or email me at dopelives@gmail.com.
And you can once again find me at SirAndersen1 on Twitter.
All right. Feel free to leave any comments if you're watching this on YouTube below. Otherwise, the email or Twitter or whatever is fine as well. Thank you a lot for listening, and I suppose that's it. Until next week, goodbye, and there should be a catchphrase here. Goodbye, and stay safe.
I'm already hyped for whatever we're going to have on as topics next week. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, same. Rumia, sign off.
Alright, see you all later.
All right, see you all later. That's good.
Perfect.
All right, bye-bye.
Later. Do 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 boom boom. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked.
All right, I'll do the countdown then. You ready? All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Rumia, you didn't say go. No. Okay, we need to redo that. Holy shit. You need to say go so we can sync it. Did you not listen to our explanation? Please. Yeah. So there's a start point. So you ready to say go this time? All right. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Do 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 do.